The 28th of July is officially a new holiday in Ukraine, the Day of Ukrainian Statehood. It is celebrated on the day of adoption of Christianity in Rus-Ukraine, a medieval state that is a direct predecessor of modern Ukraine, and was a center of the Eastern Slavic statehood, religion, law and culture. It will be celebrated for the first time during a full-scale war with Russia. It is meant to remind that the Ukrainian state has a 1,000-year history and nowadays a sovereign state with a distinct national identity and with valuable contributions to world culture, politics and science.
In the context of European history and Ukrainian statehood, it is worth recalling that since the 8th century we began to follow the path of all European so-called barbarian kingdoms, formation of medieval Europe from Britain, Spain, France to our territories. Accordingly, we are all connected by a common historical legacy, a common European civilization and a common European past.
The capital, Kyiv, was first mentioned in 882, when the Scandinavian Varangians, led by Prince Oleg, conquered Kyiv and proclaimed the city the mother of all Rus cities. By that time, Kyiv was already a large and prosperous city. Thus began the era of Kyivan Rus-Ukraine. One of the princes, Yaroslav the Wise, is famous not just for wise ruling, but also for marrying his daughters to the monarchs of medieval states, France, Denmark and Norway, Hungary. Rus-Ukraine had been incorporated into European politics and culture as far as 1,000 years ago. Since then, Ukraine was regularly in the European agenda due to geopolitical location and political changes. Later, during World War I, Ukraine has once again proclaimed independence from Russian rule, forming a new sovereign state, Ukrainian People's Republic, in 1917. UPR has been internationally recognized by Germany and countries of the Entente by the time. But unfortunately, Soviet Russia seized Ukraine once again in a bloody conquest between 1917 and 1922. But the resistance never stopped.
The Muscovite kingdom, which emerged from Mongol rule in the 16th century, created an empire of Eurasian character. This very empire in 1917 was destroyed by internal processes. All empires fall apart, this is their way of life. It was conserved in another empire, the name of which was the Soviet Union. The Soviet Union in 1991 was also destroyed by those peoples who fought for their independence. However, this empire was conserved in today's Russian Federation.
As soon as 1992, a series of Russian invasions to the post-Soviet states had started. Georgia, Moldova, Caucasian republics and Ukraine. These countries had been invaded by Russia. The war against Ukraine started in 2014 with annexation of Crimea and the start of hostilities in Donbass. One of the pillars of Russian propaganda for the war is the thesis that Ukraine is not a sovereign state with distinct people and it has no right to exist outside of the Russian state. And that was declared by the state which doesn't have neither national identity nor civilized contribution to world history. Just oil and gas. So the celebration of the Statehood Day on the day of adoption of Christianity in Kyivan Rus-Ukraine is symbolic, as it happened in Kyiv, where all the Eastern Slavic states started, including Russia itself. Reported by Pavlo Stelmach, UATV News.